Hello, thank you all for coming today. My name is Matthew Bates. I'm currently a senior at Columbia University. I've been going to college since I was 18 and I'm now 28 and I'm finishing up my bachelor's in business finance. Today we'll be talking about love and the act of love, whether it's an emotion or it's actually a physical act. We'll be going over the biblical aspect of it. So I've actually been going to church ever since I was very little. My parents have ran a fellowship in their home since I was 8, so for about 20 years. I went to fellowship about 2 times a week ever since I was young. I had a job at the Way International, which is our ministry. It's located in New Knoxville, Ohio, for 2 years, where I learned about teaching and learned about other aspects of the Bible. So I actually have a great field in the biblical form. So we're going to be talking about love. So what is love? Love, according to Webster's dictionary, and this is the second definition, is an unselfish, loyal, benevolent concern for the good of another. Their first definition was actually the feeling part of it, and that's what most people make love out to be. It's a feeling. You feel love towards another, but I feel like that love is more of an attraction, because that can go and come, and people call that love. But Bullinger is a Greek lexicon and concordance, and it has love as love in its fullest form, expressive of God's relation to us, relation between Father and the Son. And that's in the form of the Greek word agape. Strong's, another Greek concordance for the Bible, agape is the love in the New Testament, usually the active love of God for His Son and His people, and the active love His people are to have for God and for each other, and even their enemies. So we see here that it explains it as an active love, and it takes action to perform. It's not just a feeling that you have, it's an actual act. So the main verse that we're going to go off of is 1 Corinthians 13, and this is actually a very common biblical and well-known reference. It's 1 Corinthians 13, it's verses 4 through 8. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity puffeth itself, it does not puffeth itself up. Charity envieth not, vaunteth not itself, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but in truth. It beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, charity never faileth. And that word charity is actually the same Greek word agape that they use for love. So we see that it's an active form, that it's patient. That suffereth long is the word patient, and it's very kind. So that's what love is, and all those things after it is what love isn't. So you think of love, and love, most people think of it as in a marriage sense. You have a marriage, so each person is supposed to give in a marriage. And love is that giving towards one another. That's your active form. However, nowadays most marriages fail because they go after the feeling aspect. You have that feeling, and most people are like, I want to choose who I'm marrying, and they go based off of the feeling. But love is more than a feeling. In a marriage relationship, it's giving one to another. Think of it like your bank account. You're constantly withdrawing funds, you're constantly receiving, but you're not putting anything in. That's where marriages fail, because they're constantly taking and no one's putting in. If you're constantly taking from your bank account, eventually you're going to go broke or go in debt. We're going to look at a few examples of what love is, and we'll look at Matthew 22. In Matthew 22, Jesus came, and as his disciples were coming in, he was washing their feet, which is a common biblical custom. Usually it's done by servants, but it was Jesus washing his own disciples' feet. Peter came up to him and said, no, we should be washing yours. But Jesus said no. He humbled himself to go and wash his disciples' feet. And he told them, because I'm washing your feet to show you that you should wash also each other's feet. So we're looking here that Jesus was showing them love. And what is that? That's that vaunted not itself. Jesus was this great man. He oversaw those disciples. It's not puffed up. He took the time and took the care. That's that kindness, that love is, to wash his disciples' feet, when normally that's a servant's job. Another biblical example is in Acts 7. This is one of my favorite verses. It's Stephen. Stephen was thought to have, they looked upon him like it was the face of an angel. He held the word so well in his heart that people looked at him and thought, this is a great man. Well, Stephen stood up for the word and eventually got stoned to death. Well, as he was getting stoned, he told God to forgive those people which were stoning him, because they don't know what they do. And that form of love, as you see, we can go back to 1 Corinthians, is that, beareth all things, it believeth all things, it hopes all things, it doesn't fail. That type of love that you have for someone, to forgive someone for even just stoning another person. They were stoning him. He had every right to be angry with them, but he asked God to forgive them. So what we've learned here is that love is an action. It's more than just a feeling. It's a form of act. Most marriages fail. That the most marriages fail is because people aren't giving. Like nowadays, the marriage rate is 50%, whereas back in the old times, they had marriages that were arranged for them. It wasn't based off a feeling. This was based off of an act. People loved each other. So you had to choose to love that person. It was an act. So as we can see here, that going over these verses and over all this evidence, that love is more than a feeling. It's an action. It's what comes together. You are to love each other and even love your enemies. And you have to choose to do that. It's not just a feeling.